Hey y'all, welcome to another weekly video. So, you know how sometimes your mind goes somewhere and then you notice that more people have the same types of thoughts as you, and it's kind of a sign that maybe something needs to be talked about, that maybe something is interesting enough to put out there. Well, that happened, and it happened with me and a friend of mine on Facebook. We had the same thought process at the same time, so now I'm having it with y'all. And it is about how how you're always the hero in your own story, how you're always right. When you have an argument with someone, you usually think that you're right and they're wrong. That's why you have the arguments. And when something happens to you, you usually think that it wasn't your fault, that you were the victim. And when a situation happens or you made a mistake, you usually think that you had a good reason and that you had good intentions and that the other one shouldn't be so oversensitive or, just whatever situation it is. If it could be negative for you personally, we all kind of try to find a way to come out on top, at least somehow, right? You're always the hero in your own story. That is a human thing. We all do it. It's actually psychologically studied. That's how human that is. But here's the thing. When we all think that we're right, then how come so many people seem to be wrong? Because if you are the hero in your own story and we all have a story and all our stories are legit, then there really shouldn't be villains. Then there shouldn't be people who are wrong. Because those people who you think are wrong, they think they're right and they think you are wrong. So that is just this fun little dynamic that we people have. And it kind of reminded me of it's a type of bias, only it isn't. I don't remember the actual psychological term for it, but I know it's there, so feel free to look it up. It's when it's like when you take a test, right? When you're in school and you take a test and you get a bad grade, you want to blame the outside world. Oh, the teacher didn't tell me right, or the questions weren't clear enough, or no, it just was way too difficult, or the situation in the classroom was less than perfect. It is an external reason why you didn't do as well as you expected. But when you do it right, when you get a good grade, you tend to say, well, that's because I studied, that's because I really, really tried, and look at how good I did, look at how good I am. So when it's something bad, you tend to say it's the outside world. When it's something good, you tend to say that this is because I did it right. And we tend to do that in a broader sense as well. Like, I tend to think that I have right intentions, but I may think that someone else has bad intentions. I may think that if I make a mistake, yeah, but at least I had good intentions and the situation made it wrong. But when someone else makes a mistake towards me, no, they had bad intentions and the situation doesn't really matter. See how there's a difference? And that is where this whole humanity thing gets just so interesting. And that is why it's so important to be able to self-reflect, right? But let's get back to that thing I just said. Because that to me, like I said that I did that, and it's very easy for me to say that because I know I do, and I know everyone does. Because it's a human thing. But just try to wrap your mind around that, okay? Try to go back to an argument that you had with someone that was pretty intense. And try to realize that it is an actual natural human instinct to genuinely want to believe that your intentions are right, but the circumstance is bad. but that the other person's intentions must be wrong and that the circumstances don't really matter for them. That is some weird shit though. I mean, think about that. Because when the role is reversed, they're gonna think the exact same thing. You don't give a crap about my intentions. You think I'm a bad guy because I hurt your feelings. So therefore my intentions must be bad. Therefore I must be a bad person. And the fact that I'm telling you that my intentions are good or that the situation is bad, you don't care about that. You just want to hear that I messed up because then you're in the right. And that is such a crazy way to look at it all because that means that we have such a hard time looking beyond our own scope of vision, looking beyond our own perspective, our own emotion, our own little universe. Because let's face it, we do live in our own little universes. In our own world, we need to be mostly right, otherwise, we don't get up in the morning. So we need that. We need that healthy level of self-respect and positivity and drive to be able to be our best in the world. But that means that when we get into a situation, we also need the other person to be wrong. And we all do it. And it is such a weird thing, but it is so real. And it is pretty important to just know that that is happening and to know that it is happening in such a big way that psychology has studied this shit. There are entire books written about this. There are researches being done as we speak about that. That's how big that is. And most of us don't even realize it. We don't realize that we do it. I realize that I do it because I did just some like psychology study in the past. So I know this. And people who are interested in psychology and self-reflection and self-growth, they know this. But most people that you get into contact with, that you get into conflict with, they don't know this. And you have all this knowledge, like, well, I kind of want to not blame you, but my human part kind of wants to because, well, I know all this. So it is such an interesting place to be in, and it's an exhausting place to be in as well, actually, because you want to rise above it when you know all this stuff. But meanwhile, while you are still human and you're still getting your feeling hurt and someone's blaming you for it, so you want to tell them to fuck off. You want to tell them to get a fucking life. And to be able and to open their eyes and to see a different perspective. And you want to blame them for not being able to do that. Just because you know that it's possible. But in the meantime, you're like, no, I know this. I can stay cool. I can stay calm. I can rise above. But honestly, guys, sometimes you don't want to rise above. You just don't. It's not fair when you have all the knowledge and the other person doesn't, and you feel like you have to be the good guy because you know all that. But it is like I said, it's kind of fun as well. But yes, self-reflection, man. It is so important to do self-reflection. It is important to realize that in reality, it is not fucking possible to always be the good guy. That means that you have a shadow side. That means that you do shit wrong. That means that it's not always the other person's fault. Sometimes it's yours, and usually it's both your faults because that's why you both got into an argument. And you don't even have to say it, just at least know it. It is not possible to have villains in a world if everyone's a hero. That means you gotta be both, right? That's the only way that makes sense. So at least be that honest to yourself. And maybe sometimes to the other person, but you know what? That's up to you. Just know. Just know that you are not always in the right. Know that it is not always about the circumstances. That is not always about the other person. Sometimes it just is about you. And the sooner you get that, the sooner you recognize it, the sooner you realize it, the sooner you can kind of learn to figure out how to deal with arguments and how to deal with people and how to deal with life. And it just becomes a lot easier and actually a lot more fun. And then it becomes easier to, when the drama hits, to just step back. and just deal with the fallout, you know, and just not take shit personally. But like I said, it is interesting, it is fun, and I could probably talk about this for hours, but I'm not going to because it's over 10 minutes and that's long enough. So, I will let y'all do your thing now, and I will see you in the next video. Bye.